Welcome back, everyone. So today, let's talk about, in my opinion, one of the most frustrating sequels I have ever seen. And rewatching Rocky Five, I can't even put into words what to say with this sequel. Like, this is so weird. Like, it's such a strange phenomena with this movie where there are things that I love about this movie. I think that there are some great things about this movie that people don't give it credit for, but then there are some terrible things in this movie that are just so stupid and so annoying that it whenever people say they're mixed on a movie and love hate it, I for the most part don't really understand a lot of these movies that people complain about. But Rocky 5, yeah, I rewatching it, yeah, I definitely do. And even Sylvester Stallone thinks this is awful. Like, he wrote this and he thinks it's awful. And John D. Alverson, who directed the first one, and maybe the second one. I can't remember if it was him or Stallone who directed the second one. I think it was Stallone. So actually, I take that back. John D. Alverson just directed the first one and came back to do the worst one. He did the best one in the franchise and the worst one in the franchise. That is such an interesting thing. And Sylvester Stallone can't stand this movie. He thinks it's trash, and I completely agree in a lot of aspects. Where do I even begin on this movie? I guess I'll just talk through it again, talk through the plot again, and talk to what I like and don't like about it, but it's going to be a weird mixed bag of a video. Because again, it starts out like every other Rocky movie where it's a recap of 4, he fights Drago, he wins, and then Rocky starts having head pains because he's been punched so much. And then he comes back and his son, Rocky Jr., is 5 years older than what he's supposed to be. And it's actually Sage Stallone, Sylvester's late son, who actually was in this movie, as opposed to the kid who was in Rocky 4, wasn't his son. But this kid is now 5 years older. And this movie was supposed to take place right after Rocky 4, where Rocky 4, that kid was 5 years younger, which had a weird continuity thing. So we have that weird thing where it starts out with that, where the kid is so much older, and then Rocky retires again. And this time I was like, are you serious? You've done it every movie. Every movie you retire, but this one, I don't know. And then we realize something that I actually really do enjoy with this plot, in that there's this dumb overcomplication where Paulie lost every single cent of money that I don't know about every single cent, but millions of dollars. They lost millions of dollars. Rocky and Adrian, their family, has lost almost everything because of Paulie, because of this overcomplicated thing with tax and payoffs or something, and it's really stupid. And so he lost all their money, and it's really annoying that I mean, it's cool. It's cool that I like this plot that he loses everything, so he's back where he used to live in Philadelphia. Just not on the streets, but in a bad neighborhood. Oh, kind of. In a neighborhood that, he used to live in. But, now it's where his kid, Rocky Jr., has to fit in and keeps getting bullied and beat up by these kids. Because he's not used to being in a rough neighborhood. He was a rich kid. He was born a rich kid. So, I like that a lot. I love the plot that they lose all their money and they have to go back to normal like they used to, and live in a way where they used to live. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a great plot. I like that a lot. I really like that. And there's some really great scenes. I love how... Remember I said in part 4 the stakes were really high? I thought that in this one they do the same thing, but it doesn't overall equal great, because in Rocky 4 it's Apollo gets killed and Rocky has to fight Drago, and he could die in that fight, because if Apollo could just be killed by Drago with a couple punches, then Rocky could too. So I thought that there were many stakes to be had in the 4th one, and in this one there are plenty of stakes. the movie just isn't good. So, but I do like the stakes of that they lost everything, that they're on this, that they're in a poor neighborhood now. The kid, Rocky's son, is now being bullied and is not used to a school with rough kids like that. And Tommy Gunn, this character who comes in, who Rocky trains, he trains him while Rocky's son gets jealous, and I do like that a lot. I like that Rocky's son is losing all of this, like his father. Like he's getting pissed off that like his father won't pay attention to him and listen to him. He's his own kid. Like I like that a lot. That's a great plot. And I love, even though it's ham-fisted into here, I like how the Mickey thing, where you have Rocky go into the Mickey's old training place at the beginning of the movie, since he's back in his old area where he used to live, he goes into where Mickey used to train everybody, and then we get a great scene, which is a flashback, but Burgess Meredith is in the movie, and he's older, but still, this is a really, actually emotional scene, and really good, where, like, you have a scene between them both, like, training, and it's really good, and really, really emotional. Honestly, it kind of blew me away. It's one of my favorite scenes in any of the films, that scene between Rocky and Mickey in that flashback. That's really actually one of the best scenes, and it's sad that it's in this one, but it's a great scene. Love that scene. And just seeing Burgess Meredith again is great, because of course he died in 3, and then in 4 he wasn't in it at all, and then in 5, this one he's in the flashback, but that's totally fine. That scene is incredibly heartbreaking and just really shows how important Mickey was, and it's so sad, and it works so well in that final, or I mean, in this final thing with him in it, because of course he's not in anything else, because Rocky Balboa came out in 2006. I don't know when Burgess Meredith died, but of course it was before 2006. So this was his last on-screen appearance as Mickey, and it's really sad and bittersweet. And things like that, and the scene where Rocky and Adrian are up in the attic whenever they're having to move away and take away a couple things that they have, the only things they could take with them that was theirs. Rocky's up in the attic and Adrian comes up, and there's a great scene where he finds his old hat from the first movie and he wears it and says it still fits. And then he finds Adrian's glasses and puts it on her. She's like, I remember whenever you took them off. And he said, that's the first time I kissed you. And then he says, kiss me. And like they kiss. And it's a really just sweet moment of them like remembering the past in like the first movie where she had the glasses and he had the hat. And like it just was a cool way of making these characters, again, just you see how much they love each other, and you see how much they've grown, and I just love that scene. That's a great scene of them up in the attic. So what I'm saying is the build-up to this movie is great. This is a great build-up to this movie. And then my issues with this movie are just after this, it gets so stupid, where you get this Tommy Young character who Rocky takes in and trains, and he becomes a star immediately. Like, he becomes a big boxer immediately, wins all these championships. And then it makes it to where I don't get logically why this makes any sense, because the Tommy Gunn character isn't an awful person, but at the end of the movie, whenever he loses, he's treated like a horrible human being, and like, he even gives a backstory about how his dad like beat him and whipped him, and like he was a drunk, and like Tommy Gunn dealt with this guy or his dad for years and was scared of hurting anybody, and every time he fights somebody he imagines it's his dad that he punches. And then at the end it's like he loses, and then it makes him look like a bad person, and I'm like, I don't get that at all, because the Tommy Gunn character, yeah, was a douche in a lot of ways too, but like, he had humanization too, where you felt bad for him. But again, this movie doesn't make any sense in a lot of stupid things like that. So I didn't get that at all. The Tommy Gunn thing, like, the actor's totally fine playing him, but it's just, that's so stupid, and it's just, I don't like his character. He's so obnoxious and so annoying. Even though he's got some humanizing moments, he's just really stupid. And I don't know, like, that annoys me. And then like that's the biggest thing. I just think that that plot is just, even though this is the most unique sequel out of all of them, I feel like that plot is the worst because it's just this character is not that great or interesting, and he's got such a weird back and forth where like he's treated like a bad person, but you can hear, or you can understand why he in the end is kind of a douchebag, but it's kind of contrived and stupid because it makes no sense. That guy who is repping Tommy Gunn, like he's the one who's like the villain, and he's in charge of like telling Tommy Gunn, oh, Rocky's like this to you, and he thinks you're a robot, and then Tommy Gunn's like, I'm not no robot. Like it's just so dumb, and it just feels like Sylvester Stallone. Even though I love him, I feel like he's trying in this movie with the writing. Just he didn't care. He didn't care, and he said so himself. He said that this movie's trash. So I mean, I understand. He made it, and it said online that he said he made it at Agreed too. So it's not like you were expecting him to, like he was actually trying in this movie. He wasn't. He said purposefully that he made it at Agreed. So he made a bad movie, and he admitted it. So in a lot of people's opinion, it's a bad movie. But this one does have a lot of positives. Like I said, the thing about the whole setup is fantastic. The scene with Mickey is fantastic. One of the best scenes in any of the films. The setup between them moving back to where Rocky used to live, and Rocky Jr. not understanding how to cope with this, and dealing with bullies that are these street kids who he's not used to, and having just Rocky having like these pains where like he could die, but like it isn't elaborated on enough to where he, in the end, like he fights Tommy Gunn, but like it's not elaborated on enough to where he'll die. It's just kind of thrown in there. So I like those things a lot, but it's just really stupid with the Tommy Gunn character and with the guy who's representing him, and I felt like the movie had no focus. It was a lot of random stuff going on at once, and it, I guess, built up to a conclusion, but just in a weird conclusion. Now, I do want to give this movie credit, though, because even though I don't really like this movie, I'll give it credit to where credit is due, because this is the most unique sequel out of all of the films. I stand by that statement, because this movie is about Rocky losing everything. In all the other Rocky movies, he gains more, like he wins in every one, besides the first one. He wins all the other in all the sequels, and that's basically the plot of the other ones. And in this one, Rocky has lost everything. He has to go live at his old place where he lived before he was rich or had any money, and I don't know, like it's. I don't know, like it's very unique in that aspect, and I liked how he took on a protege, even though I don't like the character. And I like the fact that it's about the son, too, and I like how the ending results in a brawl out on the streets as opposed to, like, at a big stadium. I think all those things make this a unique sequel in the franchise, but a lot of it's done terribly, and then a lot of it's done great. Like the setup is great, but then it's executed so badly, I think, throughout. So it's so unfortunate. This is a weird mixed bag. I'm trying to think if there's any movie ever where I felt this much like both sides of like annoyance and like happiness, because like I thought I was happy with some things in this movie, but then I was so annoyed at a lot of things. So I don't know what to think about this movie. It's mind-boggling how I don't think it's trash. I think that it's not good because it's got good things in it. It's got good things in it that I love, but it's got bad things in it that I don't like. And that to me doesn't make it trash. That to me makes it a mixed bag where it's like, if I could find nothing to like, nothing to appreciate about this movie, then yeah, I could say it's trash, but I don't think it's trash. It's not a good sequel. It's got some good things, but overall, this is a really, really strange, out there sequel that just, while being very unique, and I respect that, it's just a really different sequel that doesn't work for me in a lot of ways, personally. And a lot of people, I noticed a lot of people hate this movie and think it's trash. There are people who like it, I believe. I think there are, and I just am in the middle. Like, I don't think it's the worst thing ever, but I don't think it's the great. I don't think it's good at all. But it's got good moments, but it's got a lot of terrible moments, so it's a very mixed bag. So that's basically how I'd sum up Rocky 5. It's just a weird, dumb movie that has its moments, but has a lot of its bad moments as well. So that's how I feel about it. So anyways, this is a weird rewatch, so thank you guys so much for watching. I am so excited to talk about Rocky Balboa next. That's one of my favorites in the franchise. So thank you guys so much for watching this review, and stay tuned for Rocky Balboa.